What advice would you give to our listeners on what it means to be an entrepreneur?
A whole lot of things. You need to self-motivate. You need to be able to go without rent money for a month. And you need to be able just to wake up every morning and remember why you jump boat.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Sessions, a video podcast brought to you by Pro Studio, where we discuss an entrepreneur's business life and while we edit some social media as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another session of Sessions brought to you by KP Illest and powered by Pro Studios and now Clift Water. I am your host, like I just said, the host with the most. But as usual, I can't do this alone, so I brought the guest with the rest. And she has a little bit of an intro here. She started off as a radio presenter in 2003 at Unam Radio. She then moved to Radio Energy and then NBC and then went on to the popular Tutaleni. So if you don't know Tutaleni, then she's too young for you. She also worked marketing at Sanlam, Old Mutual, as well as NBC, and now is the owner and founder of Poiya Media with close to 2 decades in broadcasting. Ladies and germs, I give you Miss ILke Platt.
Hello, germs.
We shouldn't even greet germs in this time.
I
Ladies
know.
and gentlemen,
COVID.
there we go. How are you, ILke?
I'm good. What's happening?
I cannot complain. You're
Yep.
looking, I don't know, what's the word, ravishing?
Well, I hope so.
They say
I'm
ravish?
in a ravish studio. I love your setup.
Oh,
Job well
thank
done.
you so much.
Cheers,
Thank you
cheers,
so much.
cheers.
We had to get the lighting for special people like you. So if you don't mind, we're just going to jump right into it.
Jump.
So aside from business and social media, who is ILke Platt?
I'm a God-fearing woman. You know, my future's so bright, I got to put on my shades.
Bang, bang.
Oh!
There you go.
You know, one of the hooks. God-fearing woman. 2 amazing sons.
Yeah.
Yenny and Oya. It sounds like I've been around the block, but I think I just got started.
You think so?
Yeah.
Is that in the industry wise, or do you feel like you just got started in this life?
Just thank you, life, finding your purpose, finding your being, finding what does it mean to wake up every morning not knowing where your next dollar is going to come from.
Yeah. You feel you wake up like that?
Yes, I do every day for the past 4 years. That's why I got to pray.
There we go. Now, if you could walk us through your journey, did you always have like the same aspiration that one day I'm going to do this?
No.
Or was it kind of like as you went ahead and found yourself?
So who would have thought? Me sitting here, I always say, I did not even think that I would even be running my own business. Because when you're young, you're like, I want to work for this company. I want to do my degree. I want to do my master's. I want to do my PhD.
Yeah.
And then eventually find yourself in somebody else's business. Never would I have thought that I want to jump the boat. No.
So it was always just, I'm going to do this, but go to here.
Yeah.
So the plan was a PhD? Because rumor has it you're a PhD.
That's correct. When my dad took us to the States, he did theology, studied his doctorates. My brother's a medical doctor. My mom was a matron. So I think, in the family, education has always been place number 1. So you can always fall back on something. And it's just self-gratification. That is your signature end. No, I do not aspire to be somebody else's CEO. No, I do not aspire to be a professor one day. It's just by saying that, have I reached the highest to satisfy myself and fill in a gap with research in whatever field that I'm studying, which is media.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is a mouthful. Yeah. I might not have been prepared for you.
Now you know.
So, were there any odd jobs that you did besides presenting? Was there anything that I used to sell pies in the back of the class, something like that, Monday morning sandwiches, print shop maybe, make copies, do assignments for people?
Yeah, it's just for an extra buck.
Yeah. Is there anything that you...
I did, and oddly enough, so where my son goes to school, I met this guy, and he's like, hey, remember me? I'm like, where did we meet? You know that awkward moment, like, where did we meet? Hope it wasn't at 2 a.m. at a club.
Normally we just wing it. Yeah. You're that guy. How are you, guy?
So he's like, remember, we used to do telemarketing. So years ago, while I was doing radio freelance and while I was doing TV freelance, I did telemarketing. So I would, be in the hotel on, I don't know what room it was. And we would sell, oh my gosh, what was even the product? I think
Very Mark.
Yeah. No, not Very Mark.
Everyone sold the twister.
Yeah, exactly. So we then had a script and we would just have to call people to say, are you interested in buying? So that, I don't think many people know that I actually did.
Oh, wow. How long did you do that for?
A month, because I hated it. You know how rude people are when you call people, what do you want? Don't call me. It's like that
Where'd you
kind
get
of...
this number?
Yeah.
So you did that for a full month. How did it pay? Was that okay?
Well, that's based on commission. So if you didn't get anybody... You were not getting anything.
So how do people buy stuff over the phone?
But
Yeah, I'll take 6.
But remember, KP, I think 18, 17 years ago, things were also a bit different. Because now we have social media, now we have influencers to sell, now we have so many different things to really, verify, and just so many options for you. So back then, hello, even telephones. Who even has telephones in their homes right now?
Yeah,
so
nobody
back
has
then,
a landline.
I think things were quite different.
So was that what was the reason for doing that odd job? Was it like, I just need an extra buck because radio ain't cutting it? Or was it for some odd reason, like you just want telemarketing experience?
I just wanted to do it. I'm that kind of person. I wanna challenge myself. Let me say, I wanna do Spanish.
Sorry
there goes
about
the pen. I wanna learn Portuguese. Like, you always, that's me. I put myself to something, and I'm like, can I actually do it?
Yeah.
But it wasn't happening for me.
But you can say you did it.
Yeah, I did it.
At
it's
least.
off of my checklist.
I don't think many people have that on their bucket list as a telemarketer.
Yeah, no.
I mean, if you want it, you
well,
can have
hopefully
it.
now and that was like when I just started out on radio. So I didn't have that tone. I didn't have that, and I don't think people actually recognize my voice as well. Maybe if I tried now.
It's quite iconic though. The cute. I had no idea Cutie and ILke Platt were the same person. I was like, oh yeah, that Cutie, she's cool though. Do you know ILke? Yeah, some lady.
Yeah.
But that Cutie though. So I wanted to find out, the way radio and the entertainment industry is kind of changing.
Oh yeah.
And obviously you've been in the back and the front of it for so long. Are you still governed by the same principles that you started off with? You still believe in everything you believed in from the beginning? Or because of this ever-changing industry, did you kind of have to, swerve a little bit in terms of ethics or what you would stand for, what you wouldn't stand for?
I think when you brought up in a household of dignity, integrity, those foundations never change. They would be with me up until when I die. In terms of, the way things are done, how it's being done, what I do now, it's changed. I've evolutionized. I always tell people it's okay to be at a broadcaster for 10, 15 years, but you need to grow. You can't be doing one thing. You can't be on radio and TV for a whole almost close to 2 decades.
Close to 2 decades. Can you imagine?
You need to use those opportunities.
Yeah.
The network platforms to catapult you into something else. So me running my own agency, it's really good because now when you enter the boardroom, you don't take a lot to introduce yourself. I'm not saying that I am the ish, no, but it takes less of the convincing, but just to see if you are the suitable agency for our product and our service, which makes things so much more easier. So yes, things have changed in terms of what I want to do, how I want to do it, where do I want to be, where do I see myself. But in terms of foundation, integrity, what I stand for, that will never change.
Lovely. So, like you said, now you opened up your own agency. What led to opening the company? Because my mom, whenever I ask my mom, why are you an entrepreneur? She said, I don't like poverty. I said, that's a good reason to be one. So, what pushed you out of
corporate?
Yeah, to say, okay, I'm just gonna do this myself.
I wanted to watch my son play soccer at 3 on a Wednesday without feeling shameful of asking my boss every single Wednesday at 3, hi, can I please just get off? That's when the definition of purpose and what life is. When I don't want to rush to wake up like a mad woman to drop off the kids and go to work. I don't want to rush like a mad woman lunchtime just to be at the office back at 2.
Oh, yeah.
I want to have a life that when my kids are grown and, they've left the house, I could say that I was part of their life growing up. I was fortunate when we lived in the States, my dad studied full time. My mom had to work to support the family. And we had a very involved dad.
All right.
Apart from him studying, he would be the dad picking us up from school, playing soccer, doing activities, being there because you can afford to, because you're not always in the office. And that's what I wanted to afford my sons by saying that I want to be part of your life. I know I need to pay the bills too, which makes it very difficult now for me. But being that active mom and not being restricted by corporate, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. My mom, I think, kind of did the same thing. Though she wasn't really the soccer mom kind. She was just like, yeah, go get him. Whatever you're going to do. She just see me leaving the house in sports clothes like, you go and do something. You should win at it. So another question that's obviously right now probably more relevant than anything else. Was it difficult as a woman? Was it more, do you feel like it was slightly more difficult as a woman entering that entrepreneur sphere? Obviously, business, I think, in the country is a male-dominated.
Yeah.
Well, it isn't everything. But do you feel like it was more difficult as a woman, or do you feel like you had any advantages? Because there might be some.
Yeah.
I would love to get both sides of the tale.
I love the whole, go women power.
Yeah.
More women in the boardrooms, etc. I just feel like the more we place emphasis of being a woman, it just makes it feel more awkward. Things should be done based on what you have, what you got, what you can give.
Yeah.
That is the conversation that I always love to steer towards. It's great being a woman, it's great being a female, but never let your shortcomings be a reason of why you were placed where you are. It's always that discussion. Do we have a lot of representation of women in the boardroom? Fine, yes, put people there just to have a gender balance, to check off the scorecard in corporate. But let's really look beyond race, age, your sex,
whatever.
and do it purely based on what you have to provide. And as a woman, forget about your sex. You need to be the best in the room. You need to be the best when you pitch in a boardroom to have the next tender for a PR agency, whatever it may be. Don't come and try to feel pity because you're a woman. No, you have the equal right as any other male in the boardroom than any other species in the world. You
Exactly.
So I think that's the kind of conversation that I really want to get involved with, and not just always isolating because she's a woman, because she's the first black, because she's the first, whatever.
Yeah,
That,
exactly.
I think, already labels and stereotypes something in a whole different context.
That is not how I expected that answer to go. But thank you so much for the insight, man. That's
You're
actually
welcome. But does it make sense for you?
Yeah,
as
no,
a male?
100%. It's like food for thought, kind of, especially since it goes way different from how we're generally taught to hear that answer.
Yes.
And from a woman especially, that's such a refreshing thing to hear.
Right.
Because I think it does, when you normally even communicate your challenges as a woman, I think it easily puts people in the same position to say, oh, I recognize that challenge, I'm going through it even if you ain't.
Yep.
So I think that's a very kind of mind-blowing way to look at it. Okay. So thank you for that food for thought.
I schooled you.
I'm feeling fed now. I think it's the shades. It must be the shades.
It's the shades.
So besides being a woman, what was the biggest challenge, just full stop? Starting, and then the biggest challenge now? Or does it remain the biggest challenge?
No, it does not. So 4 years ago, I jumped boat. My biggest challenge was I jumped in the middle of a divorce, which was mentally just the worst space and the worst time and the worst of everything. To start anything, because mentally you don't want to wake up. Your eyes are like cried out. You're losing weight because you got issues. You're depressed because you're like, oh.
Is it issues?
But one thing I realized, never pity yourself. Whatever you're going through, you got to get up, show up, dress up, put on that fake ponytail. You got to get working. You know what I'm saying? That was my biggest challenge.
In the beginning.
Biggest today? No, because right now I can successfully say that I'm running my household on, a fairly one income household, which is still very difficult. And I tell women, don't say you're a single mother if the father is still there. You are not a single parent if the father is still alive. Why do I say that? In business, you really need to balance having a support system in place. If you don't, it'll be so difficult for you just to start your journey. Because now it's possible, but it will be very, very difficult to run your household at the same time, trying to get the next income and just trying to mentally be stable and there at the same go. So put systems in place. I have a living nanny, Auntie Joey. I don't even call her a nanny. She's my aunt. She's our second mother in the household to make sure that she runs the house while I'm outside getting my next paycheck.
So she helps kind of, because most of us were co-raised by it. They're like, every nanny says, I put you on my back when you were 4.
Now you got to pay back with interest.
Exactly. So she's one of those?
Yeah, she is.
So you're comfortable with her and your kids, etc.
Of course. I mean, she's been with us for the past 6 years. When my firstborn and my secondborn was born, I needed to have a living because it was too difficult to balance. That question when they say, so as a woman, how do you balance?
How do you balance? Oh, I've got, she balances.
Yeah, I got into Joey to balance the situation.
She got to balance everything. So your company, I think I had the pleasure of interviewing you a while back, and I remember your company name is a combination of your 2 sons' names.
Got it.
Yeah?
Yep.
What are the names?
Poiya, meaning let them talk. So he's turning 9. And
Does
then
he talk?
Poiya, well, he does.
Chip off the old block.
Well, and then Oya, he's 5. So Poiya, and that's the reason why we work. I don't know if you got kids, or maybe you taking care of kids.
I'm a kid. I take care of myself.
But you got some, responsibility.
Yeah,
I mean, you had to drop off
siblings.
kids, at school this morning. But that's why we are here. I am doing everything because I need to pay, so many expenses. With the help, obviously, of the father as well. I'm not gonna, take that credit away from him.
Definitely.
So we're here because of them. That's why we work.
That's kind of the driving force,
of course,
behind everything.
Everything.
Besides being passionate, of course.
And that too.
So now, being this multifaceted, close to 20 years in the industry.
You told me to do this when but anyway.
Is there anything you felt like, dang, I should have gotten into that? Like, is there any time you maybe looked at a rapper and said, if I got some grills, I think I could pull that off?
Or I could have challenged KP.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, you've got the shades, you've got the look. Now you just need the reps.
I got the attitude too. I think somebody asked me during an interview, I think it was not too long ago, what would you have done if it wouldn't have been media?
Ooh.
I think I wish my second major could have been psychology. Only for the mere fact I'm passionate about people. Most of my job is also mentoring, helping interns, public speaking at these, women empowerment conferences.
I've seen you have a whole bunch of interns. Every time I go to the Poiya Media page, meet our new intern. Oh my goodness.
And we're introducing the new team today, so I'm super excited about that.
New interns.
Yeah. I think I would have, been a very good psychologist. Because you know how much time I just sit down listening to people and nurturing and giving advice and trying to seem to have it all together. And I'm like, I got my own issues, man.
But when you put the shades on.
But doesn't show up. I think that's what I would have done.
That's crazy because that's actually kind of the same thing that Laz said. Laz said he said he wanted to be a lawyer, but for the mere fact that he wanted to help people.
Yes.
That he grew up with that passion of wanting to help people. Did you grow up with that, if you see someone down, you kind of have to lift them up?
Always. I mean, look, my dad was a pastor.
Yeah, exactly.
That's been our life. Our life has always been about, as a kid, you don't realize how much your parents do until you are a grown up. You don't realize the power of your dad as a pastor only once they're gone, because then you really understand and have that really intimate relationship with God, and I don't want to get too spiritual on this radio interview, but it's now saying, it's having that aha moment, like, shoot, this
sense.
is it. Why apart from my kids, and I say this every single day, whenever a client comes to us, we don't even have to pitch. It's God sending favor after favor after favor. And what do you do with the favor that you get? It's for you just to bless on to the next.
You pay it forward.
Thank you.
I love that movie. Did you see the movie?
Pave the way forward. No.
The Pay It Forward movie? That whole do something good for 3 people.
Oh, yes.
I heard there was a book, but me, I was never the book type. I was more I'm going to wait for it.
Well, now you can have books just listening to it.
Oh, yeah, audio books. There you go. You got 2 phones, one for the plug and one for... Anyways... Is there anything you wish you had avoided on this entire business journey? Because I know we all love the no regrets, but I mean...
And that's exactly what... when somebody says, do you wish that you could change something? And everyone's like, no. If it wouldn't have been for this, I wouldn't have been sitting here today. I'm like, man, be real with you. Be real.
There has to be some,
there are many things.
What's the biggest one decision you felt like, I should have not, or made a different... Any specific thing popping up to mind? I don't want to hear about everything. I mean, if we sit here trading bad decisions, this will be a long podcast.
I think I would have changed. No, let me not say what I would have changed. I'm just thinking, what would have happened if I didn't come back? So remember I told you I wanted to be in Hollywood. That was my passion. I wanted to be an actress growing up. I'm thinking.
Oh, really? Wait, sorry.
You weren't listening to me for the intro?
No.
You were sleeping on me.
The Hollywood. I said, what?
Yeah, rewind the interview, but anyway. It's way too early, guys. This is an early broadcast. But anyway, I wanted to be, I wanted to finish school. I wanted to go to the States. I wanted to do my acting. I wanted to just act, do Broadway. Not even acting, Broadway.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, where would I have been if I wouldn't have come back from college? Because after I matriculated at Wiz, I went to SA now to do drama.
Oh, okay.
But I got so homesick, KP.
I've heard.
My gosh. I miss my parents too much because we've always been tight-knitted. I think maybe growing in the States because you foreign, not from there, your parents are so close with you. And then I was just too homesick and I came back. So I'm thinking, what if I stayed in Cape Town?
Yeah.
Would I have been somewhere different? Would I have been doing something differently? So that's a question that I always ask myself up until today.
You ever continue acting just maybe on the side?
No.
Because I'm casting a film soon and I thought maybe I could,
Hey, if you can pay me, shoot, yeah.
All right, and we're going to have that little discussion off air, ladies and gentlemen. I was in Transformers 2, actually.
Oh, really?
I ran across the street.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the cafe. You see me holding my CD out. Anyways, now, obviously we've seen that you've embraced social media.
Yes.
You're quite active on
important.
social media, like Lazarus as well. This is like, I feel like I'm talking to the female Lazarus in color. But anyways, do you ever feel like being active on social media, you face a bit more scrutiny because you're a mom and because you're a businesswoman? You never feel like on social media you just want to kick loose and do something, but you just feel like, they might see this a bit different.
The great thing is that years ago when I met my then, ex-husband.
Yeah.
We made a decision to go off of social media.
Together?
So I'm speaking about my private capacity now. I'm only on social media based on work. And I choose to just put things on about work. I think in today's age, and God forbid for my sons to really fall in the trap of having so much pressure and having to look the part and having to really just do things for the gram.
Yeah.
I'm really against that. We have parents that are opening social media pages for kids, and when they get older, they already have a following. And my question remains, where have the days gone where it's just about you and your life and achieving things in private so that nobody destroys it? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
So that question, I think it doesn't apply to me because I'm not in my private capacity, only for the company. And I choose to keep it that way because I would love to date in private.
Of course.
God willing, if that day happens again.
As windhoek so.
So I love to do things in my private life privately. Just to keep that sanity.
Yeah.
I think that many people fall in that trap of just trying to just be like the next and just trying to keep up with whoever else in social media, which is probably a fake at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's fake it till you make it and then continue faking it after that. So is there, this next question then is probably already answered, but I would still love to hear. So is there anything you believe should forever stay off social media? I know you said you would want to be a private person, but if you ever opened a personal account, is there anything that you specifically, personally, I never put my mom on any of my social media platforms.
Why not?
Yeah, because I'm kind of a warlord.
Is your mom on social media? I think that's the most awkward moment when your mom and your dad.
Yeah, I blocked.
It's like your WhatsApp.
She had a burner account on Facebook. It was like a butterfly profile picture. I'm like, I know exactly who this is. Report user. Zuckerberg. I gotta up here.
Shame on you.
Yeah, but personally, I believe I never post either of my parents on social media. I think it's just a paranoia thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's anything you specifically believe should never ever go on social media. It can include anything from a specific type of post, a specific type of photo. I don't know if there's anything that you personally believe, even if your kids open social media, that you'd say, okay, cool, but never ever ever post this. What would that
That's
thing
a very
be?
difficult question. You know why, KP? Because nowadays your whole life is on social media. Now it's like, I would probably know how the whole bedroom of some influencer looks like, or I would know how the kitchen looks like. When we were growing up, even people to visit your house was such a private thing because a home is a home. You just let either family in, but now you know how a person's bathroom looks like and the toothbrush they use. It's very difficult to say because everything and everybody and everything's already all over the place. And I'm trying to think, what would that be? But I would
That
say,
one
you know
thing,
what?
yeah. Or three things.
Well, number one, for if I would have had a girl, I would say, look, please do not expose your body. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's so normal for us to see, you know, half titties and half booties sticking out.
Yeah, all over the
that it becomes a bit not normal when you see a fully dressed up lady in a suit, and you're like, oh, okay, she's probably not in with it.
Yeah, okay, I see you.
So I think that would be the main. No, don't. You know.
For a girl.
Yeah, for a lady.
For a guy, you just be like, hey, post whatever, man. It's a bit easier though.
Yeah, I mean, with guys showing their, I mean, women are, you know, their bodies are very sacramental. You know,
Exactly.
They have a lot of, you know, they need to be respected.
So, do you feel like women, such as yourself, I think you hit that that generational sweet spot.
Okay.
Because you get the completely, my mom's age. I like to say she's 37, but she's not. You get my mom's age people who are totally very, very disconnected from what's going on with people my little sister's age.
Yeah.
And then you get people my little sister's age who are totally disconnected with the other side.
Older, yes.
So I think you hit that generational sweet spot to say, I know where they come from, but I also know where they're headed.
Yes.
So do you feel like a woman in your position in as a public figure as well as age-wise, do you think you need to be at the forefront of most of these women empowerment movements, or do you feel like this is one of those things that's best left for the youth? Which I personally don't believe anything is best left for the youth.
Yeah.
Because when I look at the mirror, I'm like, I wouldn't trust that guy with anything. I wouldn't trust that guy with a coffee can. But
I had a post, KP, and I don't know. I was like, you know what? Somehow this week everybody wants a piece of me. Like just before, you know, I had an interview, and you know, sometimes you ask yourself, why do people want to hear advice from me?
Yeah.
And I look at myself, I'm like, you know, I'm not a Miss Know-It-All. Man, I still have a long way to go to even understand what life to me really means. Conversations should be around whichever age, with, you know, whichever people. And when it comes authentically in a transparent way.
Yeah.
I could be speaking to a 5-year-old and I can learn so much from my son, Poiya. He could be teaching me a whole lot about life that I don't even know about.
Yeah. True say.
Sometimes I don't like it when people say, oh, you're so inspirational, you inspire me. You know, people use that word inspire so loosely. Like you would see somebody say, oh, I admire you, you inspire me. Inspire yourself. Inspire yourself every single day, because your story is different from the person that's telling that story.
Exactly.
It's great. It motivates me. It reminds me, hey, I'm doing something for a certain cause, which is good. Hooray, hurrah. But I make mistakes too. You know, like 4 years ago, I just felt like, oh my gosh, the same people that were probably saying, oh, this is Namibia sweetheart, just trampling over your name because of A, B, C, and D.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I think that might have been, you might have answered my next question.
Yeah.
What has been your lowest point in the last decade? I want to take it.
I'm glad you didn't say the past 2 decades.
No, but it's here. I've got it here close to. But what has been that it doesn't have to be in business.
Life?
Yeah, the lowest point in the last.
The past 10 years. When my dad passed away. So my dad passed away 2 weeks before my second born was born.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That was very difficult for me to transition. Because again, like I told you, I was brought up by 2 very, very involved parents.
Yeah.
That links to my second point, not being able to, you know, share a household and parent together. I think co-parenting has been also the second most difficult transition in my life. Because as a woman growing up, you aspire to have that white picket fence. You aspire to have this happy home.
Yeah.
I think when your parents set such a high standard, and I'm like, Mom, Dad, why did you live such a life that, you know, it's so difficult to see such relationships in this day and age because of either infidelity issues or just because of, you know, GBV or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to now have that kind of marriage in today's age. So number one, my dad's passing, and then also number two, for me to introduce my 2 sons a different way of growing up. And I still want them to embrace it and not feel like they're being brought up in a home that's different from the next. But if you think about it, KP, there are so many relationships or people that are divorcing nowadays. There are so many households where parents aren't living together anymore.
Yeah,
and my question now
definitely.
is this becoming the new norm where parents aren't, in the same habitat together with their families? Because it's becoming more rife. And I'm not speaking statistic-wise. I'm just saying this based
But
on a
even
friend-to-friend basis.
Even statistic-wise, I think in a lot of places now, I know one of the highest divorce rates I've seen is 50%.
Yeah.
Which
Wow.
is mad that one out of two
Which country is that?
relationships, I think that's states,
Oh, goodness.
that one out of two will end
Yeah,
in divorce.
divorcing.
That's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But I have to tip my hat off to you because I have a mom that obviously went through divorce, and kind of seeing you guys superwoman it up is really incredible. So, if I had a round of applause button, I'd press it like, there you go, there you go.
Where's our sound effects man? Where you at? He's sleeping.
He got it.
Drum roll. Even drum rolls. If you edit, you can add it.
Now we're just requesting effects all over. Put a waterfall with the river.
Or you can go boo.
So with that, and I know obviously I've spoken to quite a few women. I was raised by women, fortunately, unfortunately. I mean,
Fortunately.
well, not when it came to Saturday morning yard work, but yeah, but being raised by women, I know I saw a lot of society kind of putting pressure on women to be married.
Yes.
What will you do for being taught how to cook, and then you better know how to cook for your husband, or you better know how to. So, do you feel like that was an extra? Obviously, overcoming what you overcame. Do you feel like that was an extra stumbling block? Did you ever feel like I don't want to go out because then now it's gonna be like, oh, she's not married?
Yeah. So let's rewind. So I had Poiya before I was married.
Yeah.
And being a reverend's daughter, it was that kind of society. Oh, you let your dad down. Your dad's the reverend. How dare you? Out of all people, get pregnant before you're getting married. Again, I've been so blessed to have parents that were just so nurturing. And my dad said, you know what? If you're not ready to get married yet, you take your time. You don't have to get married just because of the sake of a kid and covering it up.
Exactly.
So I've never been always pressurized by society. And I love the way I was brought up, because we were brought up in a household to be content with what we have and who we are, and just still to strive as much as you can. So that, number one, I didn't feel as much pressure to get married. Ideally, I wanted to, because my parents set such a high standard of what marriage is and what it should look like. I think my point that I want to raise is that I think women today have such a high expectation of staying in a marriage, even if you do get beaten up, or even if your husband is cheating on you. If that is the case, we've normalized it to say, stay with your husband for the sake of the kids. Just make it work for the sake of the kids. But how much more damage are you doing for doing it for the sake of the kids? I would much rather say, walk away if that's what it means, for the sake of your children.
Exactly.
But women, they suck it up, and because their parents would say, hey, don't come back to me. Go back to your husband, even though if he's beating you up, or even though he has multiple affairs in the marriage that should be respected. Women have, I think, also brought down their value in terms of what a man should provide for you to be submissive. And we could have a whole conversation about submitting. I'm a woman who, I love to submit, but I need to submit to someone or something if I get something in return.
Exactly.
And if you go to the Bible, yes, it says you need to submit, but also he commands the man of the household to also earn and give a reason for a woman to submit.
Yeah, of course.
So not as much as the marriage aspect. I wasn't pressurized into that. I only got married 2 years after, giving birth to my son. But I think it was, you only got beaten up once.
Okay.
Go back.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah, you had to take the shades off for that.
No, and the ladies be like, man, go get your man back again. I'm like, didn't you just hear what I said?
No.
So that I think is us in a Namibian context. I don't know worldwide, but that's a lot of the feedback that I got from grown women, by also bringing the Bible, by saying God does not want you to divorce.
Yeah.
But again, God also doesn't want people to beat you up like that, or be somewhere where it's not healthy, spiritually, physically, mentally, everything in that.
Not
in that
even
context.
for your kids, because a lot of times, I mean, you could stay in a broken marriage for your kids, and all you're doing is giving them an example of what love should not be. So you get a lot of kids that are raised then and then kind of just distance themselves from the concept because I saw this situation pan out the worst way.
Yeah.
So my plan is to avoid that completely.
I mean, KP, you said, you were brought up by a single mom.
Yeah.
But I feel that people are married, but they live single lives in a marriage. You know what that means? You're living under one roof, but you're not living as a married couple. Being that example of what your kids should be. So make your own decision. And the reason why people stay is because what would society think? Oh my goodness.
And I think it is difficult, but you kind of have to, when you kind of prioritize, you have to prioritize yourself and the ones that you love, and then figure out what's going to do more damage. For me, and what's going to do more damage here. There's no point staying. I know a lot of people, my eldest aunt, she said she left because of the fear of what's happening to her kids.
Yes.
You never know if this person doesn't find you to beat up, they're just going to beat up the next person they find. So my next question is, how did you overcome that personally? How did you overcome it? Was it a support system? Because I know you said that your father passed on a little bit before the time. So, and obviously that's a huge support. You want to be able to run to your dad no matter what.
Yeah.
So was it a specific maybe mom or friends, or what was the support system that kind of helped you get through? If not, what was it that got you through that time?
G-O-D.
There you go.
My God is so big, so mighty and strong. There's nothing my God cannot do. My son loves singing that song. People will leave you. People will walk out of your life. People will leave you stranded when you need them the most. Your own blood. And I say this over and over again. Just because somebody's your brother or your sister doesn't define them being your real support system. You can have your own DNA that doesn't even support you during a time where you need it the most.
Exactly.
I have a living nanny, Auntie Joey. She's not related to me by blood, but that's like the only lady that's actually been there with me during my darkest moment in my life. And she's not defined by DNA, but she's closest to any other family that I have at the moment. You need to be okay with being alone. You need to be okay with not having anybody to support you. You need to be okay of your intimacy growing bigger with God during the process so that you can find out where is it that you should really be. And I sit here today, KP, and I'm like, you know what? Sometimes God forcefully removes you from something and some people as much as you love, or wanting to make it work. Sometimes that will just happen. It'll get snatched out of your life. But being on your own 2 feet is the only thing that will push you through. Do not expect anybody or anything to make things work for you or to help you out. Just look up, man. Just look up.
I mean. Are you ever wary of anything? I know you said you're a very private person, so I feel like you've answered this question anyways. But we're going to just play it in theory.
Yes,
Are you
hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically speaking. Are you ever wary of anything on social media coming back to haunt your kids?
Kids?
Yeah, I know, I wouldn't want,
Oh, yes.
I go fishing naked and then someone say, dude, isn't that your dad? So are you ever, is that one of the reasons that, dude, your dad is totally, his butt's totally in the camera, dude. That's totally your dad's. Dude, that's KP, that's Junior's dad's butt. It's totally his butt. So are you ever, is that one of the reasons why you stay private? Is not to say, oh my goodness, did you see Poiya and his mom on socials?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, my divorce was a big deal in this country.
It really
my whole, our whole financial ordeal was all over social media. So apart from you putting it out, people always want to write about you up until today. It comes part of the property. 18 years ago, KP, I didn't have to worry about social media. I didn't have to worry about if I put out a song, will people shred it to pieces and be so, mean with some criticism? And I think in a way it was good because I'm not saying that you shouldn't get bad criticism, but it helps you to become more free of expressing yourself and not holding things back because you're thinking, would they like this new sound or not? It's probably like with you. If you now, do your new album, there's a bit of what really makes you happy and then also what really sells right now in this day and age. So it's that balancing act. So yes, I fear the day when my kids have to read what happened between me and their dad on, media channels. But as long as they know who we are, how we're bringing them up, and the whole experience in our household, that's what matters. Ooh. And from day one, I was really open and honest with my kids. Poiya was 4.5, And it's important to have those open conversations with kids.
With a 4-year-old, yeah.
They understand a lot. They do.
Oh yeah, totally. At 4, I was active with it. I was asking my mom, "What's the meaning of life, really?" Huh?
Hey, you were just a genius. You were a lyrical genius. So that's the only thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna do a little fun. I love this.
Okay, cool.
I got this idea from Manny, by the way. I stole it. Manny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I stole it
That's
from
your sound
him.
guy.
Yeah.
The technician.
Yeah.
Manny.
The super everything man. Okay. He also owns the hot air balloon.
I need to get me one of these. They can probably see it in the reflection of my glasses.
Yeah, they can definitely see
Beautiful.
the dirigible.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do our speed round.
Okay, cool.
So this first 3 questions is just pick one of the 2.
Okay, I'm gonna do this with my eyes closed.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, let's.
Oh, I thought we were taking off shades. Okay, shades back.
Well, you can also take your shades off if you want.
I asked the question with my eyes closed and not reading it. Have some braille here. Okay, here we go. First one. Nando's or Vambu chicken?
Nando's.
They love Nando's.
Where's Nando's? I miss you, but yeah.
Okay, Lamborghini or Ferrari?
Neither.
Pick a car then.
None.
Oh.
Those cars just bring problems, but yeah, go.
So you take a bike.
Yeah, I'll take my feet.
Okay, you could be a CEO or a tenderpreneur. Which one are you, and why?
You mean now or where I see myself?
No. If you could be one, not now when things are bad. Like
CEO.
let's say 4 years ago.
CEO.
Yeah, you're not scared of the volatility of being a CEO,
No.
the backlash that comes.
Wait, like CEO, my own CEO, or in corporate CEO?
No, corporate CEO.
Oh no.
CEO of MTC or tenderpreneur.
No. Tenderpreneur. When I hear tenderpreneur, I would just think about tenders, but yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
tenderpreneur. Okay, cool. The next one is buy or pass. So good investment or not? iPhone 12. Would you buy it or nah? It's not that deep.
No, I wouldn't buy it.
What the fuck? I don't know. No comment. We should have had a shot here. I'm gonna pass on that question there, Johnson. Thank you very much. Buying your children phones before high school.
No.
I would never. And I'll never do it again. And lastly, Bitcoin.
No.
You wouldn't?
No.
Absolutely not.
It just seems fraudulent in all aspects.
It looks like a Nigerian scam.
Yes,
doesn't
no,
it?
it does.
It looks like a Yahoo situation. You've inherited 10 million. I just need $100.
Just give me your credit card details.
There you go. All right. And the last one you could also answer with your eyes closed. Mm-hmm. In a perfect world, COVID goes away immediately. What are you looking forward to the most once it's gone?
Nothing. I actually like the new norm because we're more hygienic, we're spending more time with each other, and we're just realizing what life is.
Mm-hmm. And now last, before I let you go.
Okay.
One thought-provoking question to women and one thought-provoking question to men.
Okay. Sorry, are you asking me a question?
No, I'm asking you to ask them a question.
Oh, sorry. I thought you're saying like I need to answer like a women perspective.
If you had the like all men combined into one man and then all women combined into one woman sitting in front of you, what would you ask each of them?
This is going to be a controversial one, and I want to pose this.
Love it.
So that we can change the perspective. Mm-hmm. So towards the man, when it comes to prostitution, gold digging, slay queens, what responsibility do they have towards the stereotype? And then to a woman, what contribution do they have towards prostitution, slay queen, gold digger stereotype? And can I further explain that?
Please.
So let me put on my shades now.
Me too.
So, did you do your braille?
Yeah, I read it all. It is there.
Cool. So, you know how for the past couple of weeks, it's always been about, this one calling somebody who and what.
Of course.
And yes, it's such a sensitive topic, but I always say, what would prostitution be without the people making use of prostitutes, number one? Number two, for those that are calling other people slave queens and gold diggers, what would the conversation be if those people didn't materialize it or support it in terms of cash? And number three, what would the conversation be about women breaking up marriages if that person did not allow it into their own family?
Exactly.
The only reason why I'm bringing this is because when we reverse the dialogue, we reverse the perception. And it's always been towards females contributing to those three things that I just mentioned. It takes two to tango.
Of course.
And the moment we bring two parties at the same conversation, the dialogue would be very, very different. Right now, at the moment, I think it's very one-sided. And it's always the females that are being, backlash, etc. Yes, 4 years ago, I had my fair share of being stereotyped as a gold digger myself, you know, and it's always people's perspectives of what they see with the naked eye, but they don't have the full story. And I think also just concluding that part, it's important for us to be kind. You know, KP, you've been speaking about social media quite often. I just feel like the day and age that we're living in, we have become so insensitive. We've been able to, lash words out there without our own faces. If I were to meet you versus social media, the way we would say things would be way different.
Those keyboard warriors.
Those trolls on the keyboard.
There you go.
I just hope and pray that, for the next generation, like my kids and your future KPLists, that they would be able to sense and get a feeling of the way we were brought up. Innocent, pure, kind-hearted, all of those adjectives that describe the way the world should be.
Humanity, yeah.
Thank you, humanity. I just feel that there's just so much hatred that we're living in.
Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. What a time to not be alive.
What a perfect time to be alive, shoot.
I mean, depending on how you see it.
Thank you.
Color or no color. But that's all the time we have. We have one last question for you.
Oh, that was my last sip of my coffee.
Right on time. We actually make the mugs. We kind of measure them by the hour.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that you're not drinking any. It's not like 500 milliliters. You're drinking 1 hour of coffee. This is the only place you can get 1 hour of coffee. So if you had to decide who our next guest should be, my next guest. And my next guest is David Letterman.
For you to interview? Did somebody mention my name in the last show?
Don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Don't you worry about that.
Cool.
If I had that curly mustache that all the French dudes have, I'd be doing that right now.
My German teacher had that mustache. And he would always go like this at the tip. Oh my gosh. That was crazy.
Was ist dein Antwort?
Bitter. Jawohl, bitter. Okay.
Woman, man, president, whatever.
Rosalia Martins Haufico. Or is it Haufico Martins? The CEO of MVA.
Oh, yeah?
Only for the mere fact that I think she's one of those women that have carried and, composed herself very, very well. Somebody who is still able to be in a very CEO rank, or well, not very, in a CEO position.
Yeah.
And I would like to really get the whole behind the scenes. And what I really love about her is that she's such a God-fearing soul. That it becomes very difficult to have those conversations in boardrooms because people always think, oh, why you all spiritual? Why you all, godly on me?
Yeah.
If I were to be the host, I would really love to, sit down with her, have a one-on-one. And this whole act of just having her fitness life and her 3 sons, I think that she's doing a very good job from the naked eye. So she would be someone that I think you should have on the show.
Bang, bang. Yeah. So definitely we're going to pull that through.
So did somebody nominate me for you to have called me up?
Who's asking?
Me.
I might have gotten a few texts.
Oh, okay, cool.
Someone in the building might have something to do with it.
Oh, really? Manu? What's his name again?
Manny.
We
also call him Money.
Oh, Money man.
There you go, Money man.
Oh.
Yeah, so really thank you for your time.
No, thank
ILke.
you.
And we want to tip our hats off to you because like I told Lazarus the other day, I said I think it's much easier to be a successful business person than to be a successful parent.
Amen.
Especially in nowadays.
Oh gosh.
So I look at you and I see a lot of my mom.
Thank you very much.
So She ain't cool like that.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You-
She didn't wear sun shades during the whole interview.
Exactly. That's why I see a lot of her, not all of her. But I mean, really, I tip my hat off to you for doing that for your kids and just persevering through everything. It's actually been really interesting.
Yeah.
I always learn stuff about people that I had no idea about. Like, I had no idea you wanted to be on Broadway.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was in Transformers.
You did, yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for your time and thank you for the suggested guest. We're going to get right on that.
Yeah.
Other than that, any last words?
Well, I mean, it's platforms like this, KP, and job well done to you as well. And thanks for being one of those individuals that shows others that you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be those stiff titles to really enjoy life.
Yeah.
I love that you are doing what you love doing. And sometimes I know it's a hustle and a bustle, especially if you can't, have all that money in the world, but it's not the money that counts at the end of the day. It's being able to fulfill your purpose. So I take my hat off to you, and thanks for the podcast. And the whole team, Pro Studios, job well done. Round of applause. Woo!
Thank you so much, guys. That was another episode of Sessions with KP, my guest with the rest, Miss ILke Platt. She set the bar pretty high. I don't know who we're going to interview next, but they're going to be either just as good or just under that. But the standard is there. Thank you, guys, and look out for the next one.